My wealthy ex-husband's second wife humiliated my twins with empty Christmas gifts. She never imagined what would happen next. The box was beautifully wrapped. Red paper with gold ribbons, the kind you see in magazines. My 10-year-old son Owen tore into it with hands that were shaking, not from excitement but from something else, something I would soon understand. He opened the cardboard underneath, looked inside. His face went blank. "It's empty," he whispered. My ex-husband's new wife stood there in her designer robe, arms crossed, a smile playing at her lips. "Open the rest," Daphne said. Her voice was cold, calm, like she was conducting an experiment. My other son Theo opened his box. Empty. Then another. Empty. Another. Empty. 6 beautiful boxes, all hollow. All nothing. Meanwhile, Daphne's daughter Brooke sat on the couch surrounded by thousands of dollars in gifts. An iPad Pro, designer boots, jewelry that sparkled under the Christmas tree lights. "Why?" I asked. My voice barely worked. "Why would you do this to children?" Daphne turned to me, and what she said next, I recorded on my phone. Every single word. "Because they're not my children, Harper. They're reminders of Landon's failed first marriage. They're obligations he's stuck with. I'm teaching them their place. They should be grateful they have a roof over their heads. They're nothing. They're temporary. When they turn 18, they'll be gone, and this will be Brooke's family. Until then, they need to understand that they don't matter as much as she does." I held up my phone so she could see the screen. "This entire conversation is being recorded. My lawyer is watching. Everything you just said is documented." The color drained from her face like water down a sink. "But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really started. Back to the moment I first knew something was terribly, horribly wrong. Have you ever seen your child afraid in their own skin? Have you ever felt that gut-wrenching maternal instinct screaming at you, that something is wrong but everyone around you says you're overreacting? Have you ever had to choose between protecting your children now and protecting them forever? My name is Harper Reeves, and this is the story of how I discovered. My ex-husband's new wife was systematically destroying my twin sons, how I gathered evidence that would make your blood run cold, and how I fought back in a way she never saw coming. Before we dive deeper into this, I need you to do something for me. If you've ever felt that protective fire for someone you love, hit that like button right now and subscribe, because this story gets darker before the light breaks through. Trust me, you need to hear every single word of what happened next. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. It was a Sunday evening in late November, the kind of evening where the Los Angeles sky turns purple and gold, and you can almost forget how complicated life has become. Almost. I was in my apartment in Culver City. Small, 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy. The rent took most of my paycheck from the medical billing company where I worked, but it was ours. Mine and my boys'. Every other week, anyway. That was the arrangement. Shared custody. Alternating weeks. It was supposed to be fair. It was supposed to be what was best for Owen and Theo. I heard my ex-husband Landon's BMW pull up outside. He had the boys for the past week. My heart always did this stupid leap when they came home. 7 days felt like 7 years. I opened the door before they could knock, and that's when I saw it. Something was wrong. Owen stood there in the doorway, my beautiful boy with his dark hair and serious eyes. But he wouldn't look at me. His gaze stayed fixed on the floor like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. Theo shuffled in behind him, shoulders hunched forward like he was trying to disappear into himself, trying to take up less space in the world. "Hey, my loves." I knelt down and pulled them both into my arms. They felt thinner. How could they feel thinner after just 1 week? "I missed you so much. Did you have fun with Dad?" "Yeah," Owen whispered. His voice sounded hollow, empty, like an echo of himself. "It was fine," Theo added, but his hands were trembling. I felt them shake against my shoulders. I held them tighter, breathing in the scent of their hair, trying to find something familiar, but they smelled different, like expensive soap from Landon's mansion, like a life I couldn't give them. My heart cracked open right there in the doorway. Landon's BMW was already pulling away. He never came in anymore. Not since he married Daphne. Not since everything changed. I looked down at my sons. Really looked. Owen had dark circles under his eyes. Theo's jeans hung loose on his hips, held up by a belt pulled to the last notch. "Are you guys hungry? I made your favorite. Spaghetti and meatballs." Owen's eyes lit up for just a second. Actually lit up, like I'd offered him gold. Real meatballs? Like actual big ones? The question stopped me cold. Of course, baby. When have I ever made fake meatballs? The boys exchanged a glance. That twin language they'd had since before they could speak. A whole conversation passed between them in a single look. Then they practically ran to the kitchen table. I followed slowly, my mind trying to catch up with what I was seeing. They didn't just eat, they devoured. They ate like they hadn't seen food in days, like the spaghetti might vanish if they didn't consume it fast enough. Owen took huge bites, barely chewing. Theo was worse. He shoveled pasta into his mouth so quickly he started choking. I jumped up and patted his back while he coughed and tears streamed down his face. Slow down, sweetheart. There's plenty. I'll make more if you want. As much as you want. Sorry, Mom. Theo gasped between coughs. I was really hungry. How hungry? I tried to keep my voice light. Casual. But my hands were shaking. Didn't Dad feed you guys this week? He was away, Owen said quietly, not looking up from his plate. Business trip. Seattle, I think. So Daphne made dinner? Silence. Long, heavy silence that filled the kitchen like smoke. She made dinner, Theo finally said. Just, small portions. She said we need to learn portion control. Portion control. My 10-year-old sons needed to learn portion control. I watched them eat. Owen asked for seconds before he'd even finished his first plate. Then thirds. Theo ate 4 meatballs and a mountain of pasta before he finally sat back in his chair. His small belly slightly rounded for the first time in what looked like forever. After dinner, while they showered, I went through their backpacks. The clothes inside were wrinkled and worn. The same clothes I'd sent them in a week ago. The same Star Wars t-shirt Owen had worn when Landon picked them up last Sunday. The same jeans Theo had on, now with a new stain on the knee. Landon made millions as a tech investor. He lived in a mansion in Bel Air with views of the entire city. He drove a BMW that cost more than I made in 2 years. Why were my sons wearing the same clothes for 7 days? I pulled out my phone and texted him, "Did you forget to do laundry this week?" The response came quickly. He was probably at some restaurant with Daphne, drinking wine that cost more than my electricity bill. Daphne handles all that. I'll mention it to her. Daphne handles all that. 4 words that sat in my stomach like a stone. I sat on the edge of the bathtub while the boys showered, listening to the water run, listening to them be quiet. Too quiet. When they were little, before the divorce, before their whole world fell apart, bath time was chaos. Splashing and laughing and singing songs off-key. Now there was just the sound of water and silence. That night, I lay awake in my room, listening. Around midnight, I heard it. Soft, muffled sobs coming from the bedroom the boys shared. I got up and walked quietly down the short hallway. Their door was cracked open. In the dim light from the hallway, I could see Owen in his bed, his whole body shaking with tears he was trying to keep silent. I pushed the door open. "Owen? Baby, what's wrong?" Both boys immediately went still, pretending to be asleep, but I could see the tear tracks on Owen's face, silvered by moonlight from the window. I sat on the edge of his bed. "You don't have to pretend with me. Talk to me, please." Owen opened his eyes. They were red and swollen. "I'm okay, Mom. Just a bad dream." "What was the dream about?" "I don't remember." The lie was obvious, painful. I reached out and brushed hair from his forehead. "You know you can tell me anything, right? Anything at all. You're safe here." He nodded, but he didn't speak. Across the room, Theo was definitely awake. I could see his eyes gleaming in the dark, watching us. "Both of you. Listen to me." I kept my voice soft but firm. "This is your home. You never have to be afraid here. You never have to hide here. Whatever's going on, whatever's wrong, I will fix it. Do you understand?" "Nothing's wrong," Owen whispered. "We're fine," Theo added from his bed. But they weren't fine. Every instinct I had was screaming that they weren't fine. I stayed until Owen's breathing evened out into sleep. Then I went back to my room and didn't sleep at all. The next morning was Monday. I called in sick to work. I couldn't go. Couldn't sit at a desk processing medical bills while my sons were falling apart. I made blueberry pancakes, their favorite. The smell filled our small apartment, warm and sweet and safe. Owen and Theo came out of their rooms slowly, rubbing sleep from their eyes. They were wearing the pajamas I kept here for them. Soft, worn, comfortable, not like the expensive things Landon bought. They sat at the table, and I put a huge stack of pancakes in front of each of them. They ate the same way they'd eaten the spaghetti. Fast, desperate, like the food might be taken away. Theo ate 6 pancakes. 6. He was a small kid. Where was he putting it all? When he reached for his orange juice, I saw it. A bruise on his arm. Dark purple, almost black. In the perfect shape of fingers. Someone had grabbed him. Hard. Theo. I kept my voice calm, even though my heart was pounding. What happened to your arm? He looked down at the bruise like he was seeing it for the first time. Then he quickly pulled his sleeve down. I just bumped into something. I'm clumsy. Can I see it? It's nothing, Mom. Really. Theo let me see. He slowly rolled up his sleeve. The bruise was worse than I'd thought. 4 finger marks and a thumb. Clear as day. An adult's hand had done this. Who grabbed you? Nobody. I told you, I bumped into the door frame. Door frames don't leave fingerprints. Owen was staring at his plate, not eating anymore, just staring. Boys, I sat down at the table between them. I need you to be honest with me. And I promise, no matter what you say, you won't be in trouble. Is everything okay at Dad's house? They looked at each other, that twin language again. A whole conversation in a glance. It's fine, Mom, Owen finally said. Everything's fine. Owen, you're wearing the same clothes you left in. You're both so hungry you can barely stop eating. Theo, you have finger-shaped bruises on your arm. What's happening there? Daphne does the laundry, Theo said quietly. She must have forgotten this week. And the bruise? I told you. I bumped into something. And the food. Why are you both so hungry? Silence. Heavy, painful silence. Finally, Owen spoke. His voice was barely above a whisper. Daphne says we need to learn that not everyone gets to eat whatever they want whenever they want. She says it's important to understand portion control and gratitude. What does that mean? What portions are you getting? Normal portions, Owen said. But his eyes said something different. What about Brooke? Does she get normal portions too? At the mention of Daphne's daughter, both boys went very still. Brooke eats regular, Theo whispered. But she's good. She deserves it. And you don't? No answer. Boys, look at me. I waited until both sets of eyes met mine. You deserve food. You deserve clean clothes. You deserve to be treated with kindness and love, always. Do you understand that? Owen's eyes filled with tears. Daphne says we're lucky to be there. She says we should be grateful Dad lets us live in his house. It's your house, too. You're his sons. Daphne says we're just part-time. Brooke lives there full-time. It makes sense that she gets more. Theo was repeating this like he'd heard it 1,000 times, like it had been drilled into his head. I felt rage building in my chest, hot and fierce and barely controllable, but I pushed it down. Getting angry would scare them. They needed calm. They needed safe. How does Daphne treat you when Dad's not there? She's nice, Owen said quickly. Too quickly. The lie was so obvious it hurt. What about when Dad is there? She's nice then too. Owen. I can see you're not telling me the truth. His face crumpled. Mom, please, don't make us talk about it. It's fine. We're fine. It's just different there than here. That's all. Different. What a word to carry so much pain. What about Brooke? Are you guys friends? Do you play together? Theo's face shuddered completely. She's fine. She has lots of nice things. What kind of nice things? New iPad, new phone, new clothes every week it seems like. She got a MacBook last week. Owen's voice was flat, emotionless, reporting facts without feeling. That's exciting. Did you guys get anything new? Silence. Long, awful silence. Mom, can we watch a movie? Theo asked. His voice had gone small and pleading. I don't want to talk anymore. Please? I looked at my sons, at their thin faces and hollow eyes and the fear they were trying so hard to hide. Okay, I said softly. Yeah, let's watch a movie. We spent the rest of the morning on the couch, the boys pressed against me on either side. We watched Marvel movies. They laughed a little, relaxed a little, but I could feel the tension in their small bodies, could feel how they were constantly alert, waiting for something. While they watched the second movie, I went into my bedroom and closed the door. I called my best friend Paige. Paige Chen was a social worker for Los Angeles County. She'd seen everything. Every kind of family situation, every type of abuse, every shade of dysfunction. We'd been friends since college, and she was the smartest, most grounded person I knew. "Harper, aren't you supposed to be at work?" I called in sick. "Paige, I need advice. I think something's wrong." "Wrong how?" I told her everything. The weight loss, the hunger, the old clothes, the bruise on Theo's arm, the fear in their eyes, the way they flinched and apologized and made themselves small. Paige listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "Harper, everything you're describing sounds like neglect, possibly emotional abuse." The words hit me like a fist. "What do I do?" "You need evidence. Without evidence, it's your word against Landon's, and he has money for lawyers who'll tear you apart. They'll say you're a vindictive ex-wife trying to get more custody. They'll say you're alienating the children from their father. They'll make you look crazy. So, I just do nothing?" "No. You document everything. Take photos of the bruise on Theo's arm. Take photos of their old clothes. Write down everything they say and do. Dates, times, specifics. Keep a journal. If you can, try to find out what's actually happening in that house when you're not there." "How am I supposed to do that? I can't exactly show up and demand to watch them." Paige hesitated. "There are ways. But Harper, you need to be careful. If you get caught doing anything questionable, you could lose what custody you have. Landon's lawyers would destroy you. I need to know what's happening to my children." "I know. Just be smart about it. Document everything. Save everything. Build a case that's so strong nobody can dismiss it." That night, after the boys went to bed, I went into their room with my phone. They were both asleep. Really asleep this time, exhausted from being home and safe and fed. I took photos. The bruise on Theo's arm, dark purple against his pale skin. Owen's thin arms, his ribs visible even through his pajama shirt. The clothes in their backpack, worn and unwashed. Each photo felt like a betrayal and a protection at the same time. I was documenting my children's suffering. What kind of mother does that? But what kind of mother ignores it? I created a folder on my phone, labeled it Evidence, backed it up to 3 different cloud services. Then I sat on the floor between their beds and whispered into the darkness. "I'm sorry I didn't see this sooner. I'm sorry I believed everything was okay. But I see it now. I see it, and I'm going to fix it. I promise you, I'm going to fix this." The week passed too quickly. The boys relaxed more each day. Started laughing more. Started asking for food without that desperate edge. Started acting like children again, instead of frightened animals. On Saturday, we went to the park. Threw a frisbee. Ate ice cream. Normal things. But I watched them constantly, cataloging every moment of joy to compare against the fear I'd seen that first night. On Sunday evening, I had to take them back to Landon's. The change in them was immediate. As soon as I told them it was time to pack up, their faces fell. The light went out of their eyes. "Do we have to go back today?" Owen asked quietly. "It's Dad's week, baby. That's the arrangement. Can't we just stay here?" Theo's voice was so small, so hopeless. "I wish you could. I wish you could stay here forever. But legally, I can't keep you. Not yet. Not yet." Those 2 words held a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. I drove them to Bel Air. The neighborhood was obscene. Houses like palaces. Gates and security systems. Landon's estate was at the end of a long private drive, perched in the hills with views of the entire Los Angeles basin. I'd never been inside. Landon always met me at the gate. This time, when I pressed the intercom button, a woman's voice answered. Cool, polished, Daphne. "Harper, you're early. By 5 minutes. Can I bring the boys in? I need to talk to Landon about Christmas arrangements." A pause. Then the gate buzzed open. I drove up the long driveway, my beat-up Honda Civic looking embarrassingly shabby against the backdrop of manicured gardens and modern architecture. Daphne stood at the front door. She was exactly what I expected. Blonde, thin, perfect, designer athleisure that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her smile was sharp, calculated. "Landon's on a call. I can take the boys." Owen and Theo climbed out slowly. Reluctantly, they grabbed their backpacks and walked toward the house like prisoners approaching a cell. "Wait." I got out of the car. "I'd like to see where they're staying. Their room." Daphne's smile tightened. That's not necessary. I'm their mother. I'd like to see their space. We stared at each other, some kind of power play I didn't fully understand. Finally, Daphne shrugged. Fine, 5 minutes. The inside of the house was stunning. Soaring ceilings, modern art on the walls, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Everything white and chrome and glass. Daphne led us upstairs without speaking. Her footsteps were silent on the hardwood floors. She opened a door at the end of a long hallway. This is their room. I stepped inside, and my heart sank to my feet. The room was tiny, barely bigger than a closet. 2 narrow beds with thin blankets. A single small dresser between them. No decorations, no toys, no personal items. The window looked out at a concrete wall. Across the hall, I could see another door open. Inside was clearly Brooke's room. Massive, painted cheerful yellow, filled with furniture and shelves and every toy or device a 12-year-old could want. This is where they sleep. I couldn't keep the shock from my voice. It's perfectly adequate. Daphne's tone was ice cold now. They have beds, storage, everything they need. Brooke's room is 3 times this size. Brooke lives here full-time. Your sons are only here part-time. It doesn't make sense to waste space on children who aren't here half the month. Waste space. My children were a waste of space. I felt rage building, hot and fierce. I wanted to scream, wanted to grab my boys and run, but Paige's voice echoed in my head. Evidence. Build a case. Where's Landon? I really need to speak with him. He's busy. Email him. Daphne gestured toward the door. Your 5 minutes are up. I looked at Owen and Theo. They stood perfectly still in the hallway, faces blank, like they'd learned to erase themselves to survive. I knelt down and hugged them both, held them tight. I love you both so much. I'll see you in 1 week. Call me anytime, okay? Day or night, for any reason. They won't need to call, Daphne said. Her voice had an edge now, sharp and warning. Everything here is fine. I left before I said something I'd regret, before I did something that would make everything worse. I drove home through tears, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about that room, that tiny bare cell they'd been given while Brooke lived in luxury. I thought about their hunger, their fear, their silence. I made a decision. The next morning, Monday, I called in sick again. Then I drove to an electronics store in Pasadena, far from Culver City, far from anywhere I might be recognized. The store was big and bright. A young clerk approached me. Can I help you find something? I hesitated. What I was about to do felt wrong, felt like crossing a line, but I kept seeing Theo's bruise, Owen's hollow eyes, their desperate hunger. Yes, I need GPS trackers, small ones, the kind marketed for keeping track of children, with audio capability. The clerk nodded and led me to a display. These are popular, very small, long battery life. They connect to an app on your phone. You can track location and there's an audio monitoring function. Some parents use them for safety. I picked up 2 boxes. Read the descriptions. My hands were shaking. These will work. I'll take 2. The clerk rang them up. I paid cash. $240 I couldn't really afford. I carried the bag to my car and sat in the parking lot for a long time, staring at the boxes. This was surveillance. This was spying on my own children. This was possibly illegal, but letting them suffer was worse. I drove home and read the instructions carefully, downloaded the app on my phone, set up the accounts. The following Sunday when I picked up Owen and Theo, they looked worse than before. Thinner, more withdrawn. Theo had a new bruise on his other arm. I didn't say anything, just took them home and fed them and held them. That night, while they slept, I carefully sewed the tiny GPS trackers into the lining of their winter jackets, the jackets they wore to school every day. The trackers were so small, barely noticeable even if you were looking for them. I activated them through the app, tested the audio function. It worked perfectly. I could hear everything around them. I sat in my dark bedroom, headphones in, listening to my sons breathe in their sleep. What I was about to do was wrong, maybe even criminal, but I needed to know the truth. The first day of listening, I heard mostly normal things. Morning sounds, the boys getting ready for school, Landon's voice, distant and distracted, telling them to hurry up, a car door, the drive to school, Then their school day. Teachers' voices. Other kids. Playground sounds during recess. All normal. All safe. Then the final bell. Then the car ride home with Daphne. Her voice came through the audio feed crystal clear. Stop kicking the seat, Owen. Do you ever think about anyone besides yourself? Sorry. Owen's voice was so small, so scared. You're always sorry. Sorry doesn't fix your behavior. When we get home, you're both doing your chores before dinner. Brooke doesn't have to because she actually behaved today at her school. We didn't do anything wrong, Theo protested quietly. Don't talk back to me. That's extra chores for you. I sat in my apartment, headphones in, hands shaking, listening to my sons be degraded by a woman who was supposed to care for them. I heard them arrive home, heard Daphne assign them tasks. Clean the kitchen, vacuum the living room, scrub the bathroom. I heard Brooke's voice, young and entitled, asking her mother if she could watch TV. Of course, honey. You don't have chores. That's what the boys are for. That's what the boys are for. I heard them clean for 2 hours. Heard Daphne inspect their work and find fault. Make them do it again. Then, dinner. I heard plates being set out. Heard Daphne's cheerful voice to Brooke. I made your favorite. Chicken parmesan with extra cheese. Then to the boys, her voice changing, going flat and cold. Small portions for you two. You need to learn that food is earned, not given. I heard the scrape of serving spoons. Heard Brooke's plate being piled high. Heard the tiny portions given to Owen and Theo. They ate in silence. Then Theo's small voice. Can I have more, please? I'm still hungry. You ate too fast. You need to learn to eat slower and appreciate your food. No more tonight. But I'm hungry. Then you should have eaten slower. This is a lesson, Theo. Learn from it. I heard his stomach growl. The sound came through clearly on the audio feed. I saved the recording, labeled it with the date, dinner, food deprivation. I had 12 minutes of clear evidence. Over the next 2 weeks, I collected more. I listened every day, saved every incident, built a folder that grew heavier with each new file. On Tuesday, Daphne told the boys that their mother, me, had given up on them. That's why they didn't live with me full-time. Because I didn't really want them. I heard Owen crying quietly that night in their small room. Heard Theo trying to comfort him. Mom loves us, Theo whispered. Daphne's lying. Then why don't we live with her? Owen's voice broke. Why are we here? I saved the recording. 23 minutes of my sons trying to make sense of lies they'd been told. On Thursday, Daphne made them clean the entire house after school. Every room, while Brooke sat in the den playing on her new iPad. When Theo complained that he had homework, Daphne laughed. Homework can wait. This house won't clean itself, and Brooke has her own homework, so she can't help. They cleaned for 3 hours. I heard every minute. On Friday, Daphne forgot to pack them lunches. When the school called asking if the boys had money for the cafeteria, I heard her response. They have to learn to be responsible for themselves. If they didn't remind me to pack lunch, that's their problem. Let them go hungry. Maybe they'll remember next time. On the following Monday, Landon came home from work early. I heard the boys' excitement. Their father, home before bedtime. Maybe he'd eat dinner with them. Maybe he'd ask about their day. I heard Daphne intercept him in the kitchen. How was your day, honey? Her voice was warm, affectionate, exhausting. That Seattle deal is falling apart. I'm sorry. Come relax. I'll get you a drink. How are the kids? Oh, fine. Well, Brooke is wonderful. Owen and Theo have been difficult today. Defiant. I had to discipline them. What did they do? Just typical behavior. Not listening, making messes. I handled it. I heard Landon accept this without question. Heard him move on to other topics. Work. His stress. His needs. He never asked to see the boys. Never checked on them. I saved the recording. Landon's complicity. By December 15th, I had 32 recordings. Hours of evidence showing systematic emotional abuse and neglect. I hadn't slept properly in weeks. Couldn't eat. Every time I put the headphones in and listened to my sons being degraded, piece of me died. But I kept listening, kept saving, kept building the case that would free them. On December 15th, I was listening while making dinner in my apartment. The boys were at school, so the audio was mostly quiet. Background noise. Then I heard a door open. Daphne's voice, cheerful and warm. She was in Brooke's room. "Honey, I wanted to show you something." "What, Mom?" "Come here. Look at these." I heard footsteps. Then Brooke's voice, excited. "Are those Christmas presents?" "They are. All for you. I've been hiding them in my closet. Can I open them now?" "No, silly. Not until Christmas morning. But I wanted to show you. See? The iPad Pro you wanted, the designer boots, the art supplies, the jewelry. Mom, this is amazing. Thank you. You deserve it, sweetheart. You're such a good girl." There was a pause. Then Brooke's voice, quieter. "What about Owen and Theo? What are they getting?" What came next made my blood freeze. Daphne laughed. It was cold. Cruel. A sound I'll never forget. "Oh, they're getting presents. Very special presents." "What kind?" "Empty boxes." Silence. Then Brooke again, uncertain. "What?" "Empty boxes wrapped in beautiful paper. They'll open them Christmas morning and find nothing inside. Absolutely nothing." "Mom, that's mean." "It's a lesson, Brooke. I want them to understand their place in this family. I want them to know exactly how much they matter here, which is not at all. But what if Dad gets mad? Your stepfather will be in Switzerland for a conference until December 26th. He won't be here Christmas morning. By the time he gets back, it'll be over. The boys will have learned their lesson. And if they complain, I'll just say they're being dramatic and ungrateful." "Won't Harper be here?" "No. I already told Landon the boys should stay here for Christmas. He agreed. They're ours for the whole holiday. No one will stop me." I ripped the headphones off, ran to the bathroom, vomited until there was nothing left. My hands shook so hard I could barely hold my phone. But I saved the recording, labeled it Christmas Plan, Critical Evidence. Then I called Paige. She answered on the second ring. "Harper, what's wrong? You sound terrible." "She's planning to give them empty Christmas presents." My voice didn't sound like mine. "While her daughter gets thousands of dollars in gifts, my boys get nothing. Wrapped empty boxes designed to humiliate them, to teach them they don't matter." "Jesus. Harper." "I have it recorded. Everything. The whole conversation. What do I do?" Paige was silent for a long moment. I could hear her breathing, thinking. "You call a lawyer. Tonight. Right now. This ends here." Ruth Carpenter's law office was in Santa Monica. Small practice, but with a strong reputation in family law and custody cases. She agreed to meet me that evening. Emergency appointment. I drove there in a daze. The recording played in my head on repeat. Daphne's cold laugh. The casual cruelty. Empty boxes. Ruth's office was on the third floor of a modest building. The waiting room had worn furniture and outdated magazines. But the woman who greeted me had sharp eyes and a firm handshake. "Miss Reeves." "Come in. Tell me everything." We sat in her office. I played her selected recordings. Started with the dinner where Theo was denied food. Then the conversation about the boys being temporary. Then the lies Daphne told Landon. Then, finally, the Christmas plan. Ruth listened to everything without speaking. Her expression stayed professional, but I saw her jaw tighten, saw her hands grip the armrests of her chair. When the Christmas recording ended, she sat back and looked at me. "This is child abuse. Clear, documented, systematic emotional abuse and neglect. Can I use these recordings? Are they legal?" Ruth's expression complicated. "That's where this gets tricky. California is a two-party consent state for recordings. Legally, all parties need to consent to being recorded." My heart dropped. "So, I can't use them? Everything I collected is useless?" I didn't say that. There are exceptions, especially when child welfare is involved. Courts have ruled that evidence of child abuse can be admissible, even if obtained without consent. But it's risky. Landon's lawyers will argue the recordings are illegal. They'll try to get them excluded. So what do I do? Ruth leaned forward. Her eyes were intense, focused. "We file for emergency custody modification on December 23rd. We cite the neglect you've witnessed. The bruises, the inadequate clothing, the weight loss. We request that you have the boys for Christmas, but we don't mention the recordings yet." "Why not?" "Because we need irrefutable evidence obtained legally. We need witnesses. We need official documentation." "I don't understand." "Here's what I think we should do. It's going to be hard to hear, but I need you to listen." I nodded. "We let Christmas morning happen." I stared at her. "What? We file the emergency motion on the 23rd. We get you custody for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's your scheduled time anyway. Daphne overrode it, but we'll get it back. Then Christmas morning, you show up at that house. You ring the doorbell. When she opens the door, you tell her you know about the presents. That'll tip her off that I've been listening. It won't matter. She'll either let you in to prove you're wrong, or she'll refuse, which itself is suspicious. Either way, you confront her. I'll be on a video call with you, recording everything, and I'll have a police officer from LAPD Family Services nearby, ready to respond when you call. You want me to watch my sons open empty boxes. I want you to witness and document abuse happening in real time with official oversight. That evidence will be irrefutable. The recordings you have are powerful, but they can be challenged. What happens Christmas morning, with you there, with a lawyer watching, with police ready to intervene, that can't be challenged. That means letting her go through with it, letting them suffer. One final time, Harper. One final trauma that will guarantee you get full custody. That will guarantee this woman never has access to your children again. I put my head in my hands. This was impossible. How could I let my sons be hurt, even one more time? But Ruth's logic was sound. One more incident, properly documented, versus years of fighting for custody, versus the risk that Daphne might keep hurting them because I couldn't prove it in court. If I do this, I said slowly, if I let this happen, you promise me it ends there? You promise me I get them back and she never touches them again? I can't promise anything in family law, but I can tell you this, with the recordings you have plus Christmas morning documented with official witnesses, you'll have the strongest case I've seen in 20 years of practice. I closed my eyes, saw Owen and Theo's faces, imagined them opening empty boxes while Brooke opened treasures. Then I imagined every day after that, them safe with me, forever. Okay, my voice barely worked. Okay, let's do it. Ruth nodded. She pulled out paperwork. I'll file the emergency motions first thing tomorrow morning. We'll request modification of the holiday custody arrangement. We'll cite your concerns about their welfare. Landon's lawyers will fight it, but I'm confident we can get you Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. And the police officer? I know someone. Officer Wade Chen, LAPD Family Services Division. Good man. He'll understand the situation. He'll be nearby Christmas morning, waiting for your call. We spent the next 2 hours going over every detail. The timeline, the plan, what I would say, what I would do, how Ruth would record everything remotely. By the time I left her office, it was after 10. I sat in my car in the dark parking lot and cried. Big, shaking sobs that came from somewhere deep and broken inside me. My sons were suffering, and I was going to let them suffer one more time to save them. What kind of mother does that? The same kind who fights when fighting is needed, who makes impossible choices to protect her children, who does what's necessary even when it destroys her. I drove home and didn't sleep. On December 23rd, Ruth filed emergency custody motions with Los Angeles County Family Court. Landon's lawyer responded within 2 hours. The response was exactly what Ruth predicted. Hostile, dismissive, calling my concerns baseless and vindictive. But Ruth was good, very good. By 4 p.m. that same day, we had a ruling. I would have custody of Owen and Theo for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Our originally scheduled time that Daphne had somehow convinced Landon to override. Ruth called me with the news. You pick them up tomorrow at noon. You keep them Christmas Eve. Then Christmas morning, you execute the plan. I don't know if I can do this. You can. You have to. For them. That night, I prepared everything. Checked my phone's battery. Tested the video call with Ruth. Confirmed Officer Chen's involvement. Everything was ready. I just had to survive until Christmas morning. On Christmas Eve at noon, I drove to Landon's estate. My heart pounded the entire drive. Daphne met me at the gate. Her smile was venomous. "Enjoy your little holiday," she said as she handed Owen and Theo over. "They'll be back with their real family soon enough." I didn't respond. Just got my sons in the car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw them start to relax. Saw their shoulders drop. Saw them look at each other with something like relief. We spent Christmas Eve like magic. Decorated my small apartment with homemade ornaments. Baked cookies shaped like stars and trees. Drank hot chocolate with too many marshmallows. I watched them laugh. Really laugh. The sound filled my heart and broke it at the same time. That evening, we opened presents early. I'd gotten them art supplies and books and new clothes that actually fit. A video game system I'd saved for months to afford. Their faces lit up with genuine joy. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. "Mom, this is amazing," Owen said, hugging a new sketchpad to his chest. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Theo bounced on the couch. I memorized their smiles, their joy. I would need this memory tomorrow. After they went to bed, Ruth came over. We sat at my kitchen table going over the plan one final time. "You'll arrive at 9. Ring the doorbell. Daphne will answer. You tell her you know about the presents. She'll either let you in or refuse. If she refuses, Officer Chen moves in. If she lets you in, you document everything. I'll be recording the whole time on video call. And then we call Chen. He comes in. CPS gets involved. Everything becomes official. What about Landon? He's in Switzerland until the 26th. You call him during the confrontation. He needs to know what's been happening in his house." I nodded. My hands were shaking. Ruth reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're doing the right thing. It doesn't feel right. The right thing rarely does." She left around midnight. I didn't even try to sleep. I sat in my living room in the dark, watching my son's closed bedroom door, listening to them breathe safely in their sleep. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, I would walk into battle for my children. And I would win. I had to win. Because the alternative was unthinkable. Christmas morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. I woke at 5 a.m., though I'd never really fallen asleep. Just laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, running through the plan over and over in my mind. At 7, I got up and made coffee. My hands shook so badly, I spilled grounds all over the counter. At 7:30, I heard movement from the boys' room. They were waking up. I went to their door and knocked softly. "Merry Christmas, my loves." They came tumbling out, still in their pajamas, hair sticking up in all directions. For a moment, they looked like the little boys they used to be. Before the divorce. Before Daphne. Before everything fell apart. "Merry Christmas, Mom," Owen said, hugging me. Theo wrapped his arms around my waist. "Can we open presents?" "We opened them last night, remember? All those gifts under the tree." "Oh yeah." Theo's face fell a little. "I forgot. That was so fun. It killed me." They were so conditioned to disappointment that getting presents early felt normal. Expected, even. "But we can play with everything this morning, and I'll make pancakes, the really good ones with chocolate chips." Their faces brightened. We spent the next hour in perfect domestic happiness. I made a mountain of pancakes. They played with their new gaming system. We listened to Christmas music. Everything was warm and safe and normal. At 8:30, I took a shower and got dressed. Put on jeans and a sweater. Nothing fancy. Battle armor doesn't have to look impressive. It just has to be strong. At 8:45, I sat the boys down on the couch. "Hey, I need to run back to Dad's house for a little bit this morning. There are some things you guys forgot there, and I want to pick them up." The change in them was instant. The light drained from their eyes. Their bodies went rigid. "Do we have to go back today?" Owen's voice was so quiet, so full of dread. "Just for a little bit, I promise. We'll be quick. Can't we just stay here?" Theo looked at me with pleading eyes. "Please, Mom, we don't want to go back there." My heart cracked open. "I know, baby. I know you don't. But I promise this is important. And I'll be with you the whole time. You won't be alone. Okay?" They looked at each other. That twin language. A whole conversation in a glance. Finally, they nodded. We got in the car. The drive to Bel Air was silent and tense. I could feel their fear radiating from the back seat. My phone rang. "Ruth." "I'm here," I told her. "I'm about to pull up to the gate." "Okay. I'm starting the video recording now. Keep your phone in your hand. Make sure I can see and hear everything." "Okay. Harper, you can do this." "I know." I pulled up to the estate's gate and pressed the intercom button. My phone was in my other hand, video call active with Ruth watching and recording. Daphne's voice came through the speaker. Irritated. Sharp. "Harper, what are you doing here? It's not even 9 in the morning. I need to come in. I need to talk to you." "About what?" "About Christmas. About the boys." "Let me in, Daphne. This is not a good time. Come back later." I took a breath. Here it was. The moment everything changed. "I know about the presents, Daphne. I know what you're planning. Open the gate." Silence. Long, cold silence. Then the gate buzzed. It swung open slowly, like the mouth of something waiting to swallow me whole. I drove through, up the long driveway. The mansion loomed ahead, all glass and steel and money. I parked and turned to look at the boys in the back seat. "I need you both to stay in the car for a few minutes, okay? I need to talk to Daphne alone first, but I'll be right there." I pointed to the front door. "You can see me the whole time. If you need me, just honk the horn. Can you do that?" They nodded, eyes wide with fear and confusion. "I love you both. Remember that. No matter what happens in the next few minutes, I love you more than anything in the world." I got out of the car. My phone was in my hand, Ruth still on video call, recording everything. Daphne stood at the front door. She was wearing an elegant silk robe. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was already done. She looked like she was posing for a magazine cover, but her eyes were hard. Cold. "What do you want, Harper?" "I told you. I know about the Christmas presents, the ones you have for Owen and Theo. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. I know they're empty boxes. I know you wrapped them in beautiful paper. I know you're planning to humiliate my sons this morning to teach them a lesson about their place in your family." Daphne's face went very still. "How do you know that?" "It doesn't matter how I know. What matters is that I'm here, and I'm not letting it happen." She stared at me, calculating, trying to figure out her next move. Finally, she smiled. It was cruel and sharp. "You want to see the presents? Fine. Come see them. Come see our family's private Christmas morning." She stepped aside. I walked past her into the mansion. The massive Christmas tree dominated the living room. 12 feet tall, decorated with expensive ornaments and thousands of white lights. Underneath were presents, piles of them. Brooke appeared at the top of the stairs in designer pajamas that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "Mom, what's going on?" "Who's here?" "It's just Harper, honey. She wanted to stop by and see our Christmas celebration." Brooke came down the stairs slowly, looking confused and a little worried. I walked to the Christmas tree. My phone was still in my hand, camera pointed at everything. Ruth was watching, recording, witnessing. The presents were labeled, beautiful handwritten tags tied to each box with ribbon. I saw them, 6 boxes with Owen's name, 6 boxes with Theo's name, and a mountain of boxes for Brooke. "Show me," I said. My voice was steady, even though my hands were shaking. "Show me what's in Owen and Theo's presents." Daphne walked over to the tree. She moved slowly, deliberately, like this was a performance. She picked up the first box labeled with Owen's name. Large, square, wrapped in red paper with gold ribbon. She shook it gently. No sound. "This one looks nice, doesn't it?" Her voice had gone cold, mocking. She tore off the wrapping paper herself, not carefully, just ripped it away in long strips, opened the cardboard box underneath, held it up so I could see inside. Empty. Nothing. Just an empty cardboard box. She picked up another one. Theo's name on the tag. Beautiful blue paper with silver ribbon. Opened it. Empty. Another. Empty. Another. Empty. She went through all 12 boxes. 6 for Owen. 6 for Theo. Every single one empty. Then she turned to Brooke's presents. "Now these are real gifts. For a real daughter who actually belongs in this family." She opened them one by one. iPad Pro, the newest model, $1,200. Designer boots, matching designer purse, gold jewelry, real gold. Professional art supplies in a wooden case. Clothes from expensive boutiques, tags still attached. A new iPhone. AirPods. A laptop. Box after box after box. Thousands of dollars in gifts. I held my phone steady, making sure Ruth was capturing everything. "Why?" I asked. My voice came out stronger than I felt. "Why would you do this to children?" Daphne turned to face me fully. The mask she usually wore, the polite stepmother act, was completely gone now. What I saw underneath was chilling. "You want to know why? I'll tell you exactly why." She moved closer to me. Her voice was low and venomous. "Because they're not my children, Harper. They're reminders of Landon's failed first marriage. They're his baggage, his obligations. 2 little ghosts of the woman he used to love, wandering around my house, taking up space. They're 10 years old. I don't care how old they are. They don't belong here. This is my home, my family, Brooke and Landon and me. Your sons are just temporary inconveniences I have to tolerate until they're old enough to leave. Landon is their father. Landon is my husband, and he agrees with me, even if he won't say it out loud. Why do you think he's never here? Why do you think he travels so much? Because he doesn't want to deal with them either. They remind him of you, of his failure, of the life he's glad he escaped. I kept the phone steady, kept recording. Every word was evidence. So, you decided to give them empty boxes for Christmas. I decided to teach them a lesson. Daphne's eyes were bright with something like excitement. She was enjoying this. I wanted them to understand their place. I wanted them to see very clearly that they don't matter as much as Brooke does, that they never will. They're part-time visitors in this house, and part-time visitors don't get the same treatment as real family. They're children who lost their mother. Their mother is dead and gone. I'm what they have now, and I'm teaching them that life isn't fair. Some people are wanted, and some people are tolerated. Some people get everything, and some people get nothing. That's reality. I'm doing them a favor by teaching them young. Brooke had been standing on the stairs, listening to all of this. Her face had gone pale. "Mom, this is really mean," she said quietly. "They're just kids. Stay out of this, Brooke." "But Mom," I said, "stay out of it." I looked at Daphne, at this woman who'd been poisoning my children for months, who'd been starving them and degrading them and convincing them they were worthless. You grabbed Theo hard enough to leave bruises. You denied them food. You made them clean this entire house like servants, while Brooke did nothing. You told them their dead mother didn't want them. Daphne's smile grew wider, colder. I did. And I'd do it again. Because someone needs to toughen them up. Someone needs to prepare them for the real world, where nobody cares about their feelings and nobody's going to baby them. You're abusing them. I'm parenting them. Something you clearly can't do, or Landon wouldn't have gotten primary custody. That was designed to hurt. And it did. But I didn't let it show. Instead, I held up my phone so she could see the screen clearly. This entire conversation is being recorded. My lawyer is watching on video call right now. Every single word you just said is documented. Daphne's face changed. The smile vanished. The color drained from her cheeks. You're recording me? In my own home? Your home, Landon's home, but also my children's home, and I have every right to document how they're being treated here. That's illegal. You can't use that. I didn't consent to being recorded. Actually, California law has exceptions when child welfare is involved. But we can let the courts sort that out. I pulled up my contacts, found Officer Wade Chen's number. Daphne's eyes went wide. What are you doing? Calling the police. You can't do that. I haven't done anything wrong. You just confessed to child abuse on camera. Watch me. I dialed. Officer Chen answered on the first ring. Ms. Reeves? Officer Chen, I'm at 1247 Bel Air Heights Road. I need you here now. I have documented evidence of child abuse, and I've just witnessed and recorded the abuser confessing to systematic emotional abuse and neglect of my minor children. I'm 3 minutes away. Stay on the line. I put the phone on speaker so Ruth could still hear through the video call. Daphne had gone very still. This is insane. You're insane. Landon will destroy you for this. Landon is in Switzerland at a conference while you psychologically torture his children. He's complicit in this. He doesn't know anything about it. Exactly. He doesn't know because he doesn't ask. He doesn't care enough to pay attention. And that makes him just as guilty as you are. I walked to the front door and opened it. Owen and Theo were still in the car, watching through the windshield. I waved at them. They waved back, small and uncertain. 2 minutes later, a police car pulled up the driveway. Officer Wade Chen got out, along with a partner. They were both in uniform. Chen had a body camera on his chest. Miss Reeves? Officer Chen. Thank you for coming. He looked past me into the house, taking in the scene. The Christmas tree, the torn wrapping paper, the empty boxes. Daphne standing there in her silk robe looking furious and scared. Can you walk me through what's happening here? I explained everything, showed him the empty boxes, showed him Brooke's expensive gifts, played him sections of the recording I'd just made of Daphne's confession. He listened to it all with a professional, neutral expression, but I saw his jaw tighten, saw his eyes harden. Ma'am, he addressed Daphne, I'm Officer Chen with LAPD. This is Officer Martinez. We're going to need to ask you some questions. I want a lawyer. I'm not saying anything without a lawyer present. That's your right. But I need to inform you that we're documenting everything we see here. We'll be filing a report with Child Protective Services. This is harassment. She's a vindictive ex-wife trying to cause trouble. Officer Martinez was photographing the scene. The empty boxes, the expensive gifts. The disparity was impossible to miss. Where are the children? Chen asked me. In my car. I didn't want them to see this. I'm going to need to speak with them. Separately. Of course. Ruth's voice came through my phone. Harper, I'm calling CPS now. They're sending someone immediately. A car door slammed. I turned to see Owen and Theo getting out of my Honda. They walked toward the house slowly, holding hands. When they reached the door and saw the police officers, they stopped. It's okay, I told them. These officers are here to help. They're going to ask you some questions. Just tell them the truth. You're safe now. Officer Chen knelt down to their level. Hi guys, I'm Officer Chen. What are your names? Owen, my son whispered. Theo, nice to meet you both. Can I talk to you for a few minutes, just to understand what's been going on? They looked at me. I nodded. It's okay. Tell him everything. Chen led them to my car, interviewed them separately, one in the car, one standing with Officer Martinez by the police vehicle. I stayed near the front door with Daphne. She was on her phone now, presumably calling her lawyer. Inside, Brooke sat on the couch, crying quietly. 20 minutes later, another car arrived. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a professional suit. She carried a briefcase and wore an ID badge. I'm Patricia Reeves, caseworker with Los Angeles County Child Protective Services. I received an emergency call about this address. Officer Chen briefed her, showed her the photographs he'd taken, the empty boxes, the gifts, played her portions of my recording. Patricia's professional expression never changed, but I saw disgust flash across her face. She interviewed Owen and Theo next, took them inside to a quiet room, spoke to each of them alone for 15 minutes. When she came back out, she looked at me with something like sorrow and respect. Miss Reeves, based on what I've seen and heard, I'm recommending immediate custody transfer. These children are not safe in this environment. The relief hit me like a wave. My knees almost buckled. Thank you, I whispered. Patricia pulled out paperwork, started documenting everything. Timestamps, witness statements, photographic evidence. While she worked, I called Landon. It was after 6 p.m. in Switzerland. He answered on the fourth ring, his voice heavy with irritation. Harper, it's Christmas morning. What do you want? I'm at your house in Bel Air, with police and child protective services. Your wife just confessed to systematically abusing our sons. Silence. Complete silence. What? Daphne has been starving Owen and Theo, making them clean your entire house like servants, telling them they're worthless and temporary. She gave them bruises, Landon. She made them sleep in a closet while Brooke has a palace. And this morning, she gave them empty Christmas presents while Brooke got thousands of dollars in gifts. All to teach them they don't matter. That's impossible. Harper, you're being dramatic. Daphne would never. I have recordings, Landon. Hours of recordings. I have photographs. I have police witnesses. I have CPS involvement. And I have a video of her confessing to everything. More silence. You're lying. Call Officer Wade Chen with LAPD. Badge number 4729. Ask him yourself. I heard him breathing on the other end of the line. Heard him processing. I didn't know, he finally said. His voice had gone quiet. Shaken. You didn't want to know. You left our children with a woman who hated them, and you never bothered to check if they were okay. You believed every lie she told you. You never questioned why they were so quiet, why they were losing weight, why they flinched. You chose not to see it, Landon. And that makes you just as guilty as she is. I'll come home immediately. Don't bother. You won't have custody when you get here. We have an emergency hearing scheduled for December 27th. I suggest you get a good lawyer. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. Officer Chen walked over. Miss Reeves, we're going to need you to come to the station to make a formal statement. Can you do that this afternoon? Yes, absolutely. And the children should be examined by a doctor. Document any injuries. I'll take them immediately. Patricia finished her paperwork and came over. Miss Reeves, I'm filing a report recommending full custody to you and 0 unsupervised contact between the children and Miss Westbrook. There will be a formal hearing, but based on the evidence here, I don't see any judge ruling differently. What about Landon, their father? That will be determined at the hearing. But given his extended absences and failure to notice the abuse occurring in his home, I'd expect supervised visitation at most. This was really happening. After months of suffering, after weeks of gathering evidence, after the agony of waiting and planning, it was really happening. My sons were free. I turned to where they sat on the front steps, Officer Martinez standing nearby. They looked small and scared and confused. I walked over and knelt in front of them. We're going home now, really home. And you're not coming back here. Do you understand? You're safe. You're staying with me. Owen's eyes filled with tears. Really? We don't have to come back? Never. You never have to come back here again. Theo threw his arms around my neck, started sobbing. Not quiet, hidden crying. Full, loud, body-shaking sobs. Owen joined him, both boys holding on to me like I was the only solid thing in a world that had been tilting sideways for months. I held them and let them cry. Let them release all the fear and pain and confusion they'd been carrying. Behind us, Daphne stood in the doorway of her perfect mansion, watching her perfect life crumble. I didn't feel triumph, didn't feel satisfaction, just profound, overwhelming relief. We drove home. The boys were quiet in the back seat, processing everything. When we got to the apartment, they went straight to their room and closed the door. I heard them talking quietly, that twin language that excluded everyone else. I let them have privacy, let them process in their own way. An hour later, they came out. Owen was holding something, a small notebook he used for sketches. Mom, can we ask you something? Anything, baby. Are we really staying with you? Like, forever? There's going to be a court hearing in 2 days, but yes, based on everything that happened, I'm going to get full custody. You'll live here with me. Dad might get to visit sometimes, but only with supervision, and Daphne won't be allowed anywhere near you, ever. Theo's whole body relaxed. Like he'd been holding tension for so long, he'd forgotten what it felt like to let go. What about our stuff at Dad's house, our clothes and things? We'll get everything. Officer Chen said we can arrange a supervised visit to collect your belongings. I don't want to go back there, not even for my stuff. Then we won't. We'll have someone else get it, or we'll just buy new everything. Your choice. Owen sat next to me on the couch. Why did she hate us so much? The question broke my heart. Oh, sweetheart, she didn't hate you because of anything you did. Some people are just broken inside. They're hurting, and they hurt others to feel powerful. It was never about you. It was always about her own pain and anger. But we tried to be good. We did everything she said. I know you did. You were so brave, both of you. You survived something terrible, and you came out the other side. I'm so proud of you. Theo climbed onto the couch on my other side. I was scared to tell you. Daphne said if we told you'd get in trouble. She said they'd take us away from you completely. She lied. She lied about a lot of things. But that's over now. No more lies, no more fear, no more hiding. We sat there together, the three of us on the small couch in my small apartment, that suddenly felt like the biggest, safest place in the world. That afternoon, I took them to urgent care. A doctor examined them both, documented the bruises on Theo's arms, noted Owen's low weight, took photographs for the medical records that would become part of the evidence. The doctor was gentle and kind. She gave them both stickers and lollipops when the exam was done. These boys have been through trauma, she told me quietly while they were getting dressed. They're going to need therapy, professional help to process what happened. I know. I'm already looking into therapists who specialize in childhood trauma. Good, because physical healing is one thing. Emotional healing takes much longer. Over the next 2 days, the boys stayed close to me, rarely left my side. They were afraid that if they let me out of their sight, I might disappear. At night, they both had nightmares. I'd hear them crying and go to their room, hold them until the fear passed. You're safe, I'd whisper over and over. You're home. You're loved. You're safe. Ruth called on December 26th. The hearing is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Judge Patricia Martinez. She's tough but fair. Landon will be there with his lawyer. Daphne will be there with hers. You need to be prepared for them to attack your character. They'll try to make you look unstable. I have evidence. Hours of it. I know, and it's damning. But be ready for a fight. That night, I barely slept. Ran through everything in my mind. The recordings, the photographs, the witness statements. This was it. The moment that would determine my son's futures. December 27th arrived cold and gray. Los Angeles winter such as it was. I dressed the boys in nice clothes, combed their hair, tried to make them look presentable for court. Will we have to see her? Owen asked as we drove to the courthouse. Probably, but she can't hurt you. There will be security, lawyers, a judge. You're protected. The courthouse was downtown, tall and imposing. We went through security and took the elevator to the 4th floor. Family Court, Department 12. Ruth met us in the hallway. She looked professional and fierce in a dark suit. Harper boys, are you ready? As ready as we'll ever be. Landon was already there. He stood at the end of the hallway with his lawyer, an expensive-looking man in a $3,000 suit. Landon looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw the boys, he started toward them. Owen and Theo moved behind me, using my body as a shield. Landon stopped. The hurt on his face was obvious. Boys, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what was happening. They didn't respond, just stood behind me, silent and afraid. Daphne arrived with her lawyer. She looked immaculate. Hair perfect, makeup perfect, designer suit, playing the role of wronged woman. When she saw me, her eyes went cold and hard. The bailiff called us in. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, high ceilings, the judge's bench raised above everything else. Judge Patricia Martinez entered. She was in her early 60s, with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Be seated. This is an emergency custody modification hearing in the matter of Reeves versus Reeves. I've reviewed the filings. This is a serious situation requiring immediate attention. Ruth stood. Your Honor, I'm Ruth Carpenter representing Harper Reeves, the mother and petitioner. We're seeking full physical and legal custody of the minor children, Owen and Theo. Reeves, based on documented evidence of systematic emotional abuse and neglect by their stepmother, Daphne Westbrook, and negligent supervision by their father, Landon Reeves. Landon's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Gregory Shaw representing Landon Reeves. My client strongly disputes these allegations. Ms. Harper Reeves has a history of contentious behavior. We believe this is a vindictive attempt to alienate the children from their father. The judge held up her hand. I'll hear the evidence. Ms. Carpenter, present your case. Ruth presented everything. The recordings played in open court. Daphne's voice, clear and cruel, telling the boys they were worthless, temporary, unwanted. The Christmas morning recording where she explained the empty boxes. The photographs of Theo's bruises. The medical records from urgent care documenting injuries and malnutrition. The police report from Officer Chen. The CPS report from Patricia, the caseworker. Witness statements. The judge listened to everything without expression, taking notes, occasionally asking questions. When the Christmas morning video played, showing Daphne's full confession, the courtroom went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. When it ended, the judge looked at Daphne. Miss Westbrook, is that your voice on the recording? Daphne's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client declines to answer on the grounds that... I know what grounds. Sit down. The judge's voice was steel. I've heard enough. I'm ready to make my ruling. Your Honor, Landon's lawyer tried to interrupt. We haven't presented our defense. There is no defense against video evidence of abuse. There is no defense against medical documentation of injuries. There is no defense against a confession recorded by multiple witnesses. The judge looked directly at Landon. Mr. Reeves, you are the father of these children. You have a legal and moral obligation to protect them. You failed. Whether through negligence or willful ignorance, you allowed your wife to abuse your sons. You didn't notice they were losing weight. You didn't notice their fear. You didn't ask questions. You chose not to see what was happening in your own home because it was easier than confronting the problem. Landon's face had gone white. Your Honor, I was traveling for work. I trusted my wife to... You trusted the wrong person. And your children paid the price. The judge turned to Daphne. Miss Westbrook, what you did to these children constitutes child abuse under California law. Emotional abuse is just as damaging as physical abuse. You systematically degraded, humiliated, and neglected 2 children who were placed in your care. You gave them empty Christmas presents to teach them they were worthless. You denied them food. You grabbed them hard enough to leave bruises. You treated them like servants while lavishing affection and gifts on your biological daughter. Daphne's lawyer started to speak, but the judge cut him off. I don't want to hear excuses. I've seen the evidence. I've heard the recordings. There's no explanation that makes this acceptable. The judge looked down at her notes, then at me. then at Owen and Theo sitting next to me, holding hands. This court grants full physical and legal custody of Owen and Theo Reeves to their mother, Harper Reeves, effective immediately. Mr. Landon Reeves will have supervised visitation only, once per month, pending completion of parenting classes and family therapy. Miss Daphne Westbrook is prohibited from any contact with the minor children, now and in perpetuity. The gavel came down. It was over. Owen and Theo both started crying. Not sad tears. Relief. Release. I pulled them close. It's done. You're safe. You're mine. Forever. Behind us, I heard Landon's lawyer arguing. Heard Daphne's voice rising in protest. But it didn't matter. The judge had ruled. My sons were protected. We left the courtroom, walked out into the gray December afternoon. Ruth was smiling. You did it, Harper. Full custody. She'll never touch them again. Thank you for everything. You did the hard part. You fought for your kids. I just helped make it legal. We celebrated that night with pizza and ice cream. Nothing fancy. Just the three of us in our small apartment. The boys were different already. Lighter. Like a weight had been lifted. Mom? Theo asked around a mouthful of pepperoni. Can we get a dog? I laughed. Maybe. Let's settle into our new normal first. Then we'll talk about a dog. A big dog. Like a golden retriever. We'll see. Owen was drawing in his sketchbook. I looked over and saw he was drawing our apartment. All three of us together. Smiling. That's beautiful, baby. It's home, he said simply. The following weeks were a blur of adjustment. I changed my work schedule. Explained everything to my boss. She was sympathetic and allowed me to work from home 3 days a week. I found a therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim, who specialized in childhood trauma. She had a warm office filled with art supplies and comfortable furniture. The first session was hard. The boys didn't want to talk to a stranger about their feelings. But Dr. Kim was patient. She let them draw while they talked. Let them take their time. Slowly, over sessions, they opened up. Talked about Daphne, about the fear, about feeling worthless and unwanted. Talked about their mother Catherine, who they still miss desperately. Talked about Landon, who felt like a stranger now. Dr. Kim listened to everything, validated their feelings, taught them that the abuse wasn't their fault. You are not what Daphne said you were. You are not worthless. You are not burdens. You are children who deserved love and protection. What happened to you was wrong, but it doesn't define who you are. You get to decide who you are. I started therapy too. Individual sessions to process my own guilt and anger. You saved them, my therapist told me. Stop punishing yourself for not saving them sooner. You did what you could when you knew. That's what matters. It was hard to believe, but I was trying. Landon's monthly supervised visits were awkward and painful. They took place in a neutral facility with a social worker present. Landon would try to talk to the boys, ask about school, try to connect, but the distance between them was vast, ocean-wide. They called him Dad, but without warmth, answered his questions with short, polite responses. The trust was gone, maybe forever. After the third visit, Landon pulled me aside. They hate me. They don't hate you. They're hurt and angry, and they don't trust you. You allowed someone to abuse them, Landon. That's not something that heals quickly. I didn't know. You should have known. You're their father. He looked older, tired, like the weight of his failure was crushing him. I divorced Daphne. Good. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I needed you to know. She's gone, moved to New York. I'll never see her again. That doesn't change what happened. I know. I want my sons back. I want them to look at me the way they used to. Then earn it. Show up to therapy. Do the work. Be consistent. Maybe in a few years they'll trust you again. Maybe. By spring, the boys were healing visibly. Owen joined an art class and discovered he loved painting. His teacher said he had real talent, natural ability. He painted constantly. Abstracts mostly. Bold colors and sweeping brushstrokes. It helps me feel things I can't say, he explained. Theo started playing basketball. Turned out he was fast and coordinated. Made the school team. I went to every game. Cheered until my voice was hoarse. They gained weight. Started laughing freely. Started fighting with each other like normal brothers. The nightmares decreased. Became less frequent. They still asked permission for things sometimes. Is it okay if I have more juice? But less often. They were learning to take up space again, learning that their needs mattered. In June, we adopted a dog, a golden retriever puppy we named Buddy. The boys were obsessed with him, played with him for hours, taught him tricks, slept with him curled between their beds. Buddy helped. Animals have a way of healing things that words can't reach. That summer, my best friend Paige helped me move to a bigger apartment. 2 bedrooms still, but with a small backyard for Buddy. We painted the boys' room together. They chose the colors, blue and green, like the ocean. They hung their artwork on the walls, Owen's paintings, Theo's basketball photos. It looked like a real kid's room. Lived in. Loved. One night in July, we had a barbecue in the backyard. Just us and Paige and Ruth. The boys were laughing, playing catch with Buddy. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Paige sat next to me on the porch steps. "You did it, Harper. Look at them. They're happy. They're healed. They're healing. It's not done yet. Maybe it never is. Maybe healing is a process, not a destination. But look how far you've come." I watched my sons, watched them run and play and exist without fear. "I almost gave up," I said quietly. "There were moments I thought I couldn't do it, couldn't fight hard enough, couldn't be strong enough. But you were. You found strength you didn't know you had. I found it because I had to. Because they needed me." Ruth joined us with a glass of lemonade. "Any word from Len?" "He's still doing the supervised visits. The boys are starting to warm up to him a little, very slowly. But it's progress. That's good. They need a father if he can figure out how to be one. We'll see. I'm not pushing it. If they want a relationship with him, I'll support it. If they don't, I'll support that too." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the boys play as the sky darkened and stars began to appear. I thought about everything we'd been through. The fear, the evidence gathering, the confrontation, the legal battle. I thought about the recordings still saved on that external hard drive in my closet. Evidence of the worst period of our lives. I'd never listened to them again. Couldn't bear to. But I kept them. As a reminder, as proof of what we'd overcome. In December, nearly a year after that terrible Christmas morning, we celebrated the holiday together. Just the 3 of us. And Buddy, I got a small tree. We decorated it with handmade ornaments, strung popcorn and cranberries, put a wonky star on top that Theo made in art class. Under the tree were real presents, things I'd saved for months to buy. Art supplies for Owen, a new basketball and shoes for Theo, books and games and clothes and things chosen with love. Christmas morning, they woke up excited, actually excited. We made pancakes together, let them get chocolate chips all over the kitchen. Then they opened presents. Every box had something inside. Every box was chosen specifically for them. Every box said, "You matter, you're loved, you're wanted." They were so happy, genuine, uncomplicated joy. No fear, no wondering if the boxes would be empty, no bracing for disappointment. Just 2 kids on Christmas morning, exactly as it should be. Later, when they were playing with their new things, I stepped outside onto the small balcony. The December air was cool. The Los Angeles sky was bright blue. I thought about where we'd been a year ago, the nightmare we'd lived through. And I thought about where we were now, safe, together, healing. My phone buzzed. A text from Landon. "Merry Christmas. Can I see the boys today, even just for a few minutes?" I looked back inside. Owen was showing Theo how to use the new art supplies, both of them laughing over something Buddy did. I texted back, "Not today. This is our day. But you can see them next week at the regular visit." He didn't argue, just replied, "Okay. Tell them Merry Christmas from me." I put my phone away. Inside, Theo called out, "Mom, come see what Owen drew." I went back inside, back to my sons, back to our small, safe, imperfect life that we'd fought so hard to protect. Owen had drawn the 3 of us, me in the middle, the boys on either side, Buddy at our feet, all of us smiling. Above our heads, he'd written in careful letters, "Home." "It's perfect," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Absolutely perfect. Can we hang it up?" Owen asked. "Of course, right in the middle of the living room where everyone can see it." We hung it on the wall, stepped back to admire it. "Mom?" Theo asked. "Are you crying?" "Happy tears, baby. Sometimes you cry when you're so happy you can't hold it all inside." He hugged me. Owen joined in. Buddy tried to jump up and join too. We stood there together, tangled up in each other, laughing and crying and being everything we'd fought to become. A family. Safe. Whole. Home. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that protecting the vulnerable is worth any cost, I need you to do something. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Share it with parents who might be missing signs. Share it with people who think that speaking up is too risky. Because silence protects abusers. Action protects children. Leave a comment telling me what you think. What would you have done in Harper's place? What signs do you watch for in the children around you? And subscribe to this channel, because stories like Harper's need to be told. Stories about courage, about fighting when it would be easier to look away, about choosing love over fear. Harper's battle lasted months. Her healing is still ongoing. But every day, when she looks at her sons laughing and playing and taking up space in the world without apology, she knows it was worth it. Every sleepless night gathering evidence, every moment of moral conflict about the recordings, every second of that terrible Christmas morning, all worth it, because her boys are safe now, and they know beyond any doubt that they are loved, that they matter, that they are wanted, and that's everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Harper's story. Remember, if you suspect a child is being abused, speak up. Call local authorities. Trust your instincts. One call, one action, one person standing up can change a child's entire life. Until next time, this is Dr. Phillips with Love and Twilights, reminding you that love isn't just a feeling. Sometimes love is a battle, and the people worth loving are always worth fighting for.